Hello, Mr. Cruz. Welcome to our documentary, The Truth Behind the Montgomery Bus Boycott Movement by Tania Almanza and Yasmin Hernandez. Rosa Parks. Who was she? Rosa Parks was a civil rights activist who refused to surrender her seat for a white passenger on a segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama. Her defiance sparked the Montgomery bus boycott. Its success launched nationwide efforts to end racial segregation of public facilities.
She was born on February 4, 1913.
On her way home from work, as she took the bus and when asked to give it up for a white passenger, she refused and was arrested. Story we all know. On December 1st, 1955, after a long day's work at Montgomery department store where she worked as a seamstress, Rosa Parks boarded the Cleveland Avenue bus for home. She took a seat in the first of several rows designated for colored passengers. The Montgomery City Code required all that public transportation be segregated and that bus drivers had the powers of police officer of the city while in actual charge of any bus for the purpose of carrying out the provisions of the code. While operating a bus, drivers were required to provide separate but equal accommodations for white and black passengers by assigning seats. As the bus Rosa was riding continued on its route, it began to fill with white passengers. Eventually, the bus was full and the driver noticed that several white passengers were standing in the aisle. The driver of Rosa's bus stopped the bus and moved the sign separating the two sections back one row, asking for black passengers to give up their seat. Rosa Parks was part of this group and she refused to get up. Eventually, the bus driver decided to call the police and she was arrested.
But before Rosa Parks, Claudia Colvin case occurred. She was an American nurse and a pioneer of the civil rights movement. Born on September 5, 1939. Growing up, she lived in Montgomery's one of poorest neighborhoods. She studied hard at school and she earned mostly all A's in her classes and was even once aspired to become president one day. One day after school, she refused to give up her seat on her way home. During segregated times, she later became one of 4 plaintiffs in Browder versus Gale legal cases.
She was 15 at the time.
The real story. On March 2, 1955, Colvin was riding home on a city bus when a driver told her to give up her seat to a white passenger. She refused, saying, "It is my constitutional right to sit here as much as that lady. I paid my fare. It is my constitutional right." Colvin felt compelled to stand her ground. Feeling like somber truth was pushing her on one shoulder and Harriet Tubman was pushing her on the other, Colvin was glued down to her seat. Colvin was arrested on several charges, including violating the city's segregation laws. For several hours she sat in jail afraid of what might have been done to her. Soon her minister paid her bill. She went home where she and her family stayed up all night out of concern for possible retaliation. To make her case known to the public, together they decided to contact the National Association for Colored People. The NAACP briefly considered using Colvin's case to challenge the segregation laws, but they decided against it because of her age. Months later, Rosa Parks became the face of the movement.
You may be asking yourself, why Rosa Parks instead of Colvin? It's simple. People believed that she wasn't the right face for the movement because she was too black, and rumors were began and that said that she was pregnant at the time, which wouldn't create enough pity for her and for the face of the movement.
As police reports show, Colvin's case was the first thing that happened before Rosa Parks. She was arrested and detained in March, and Rosa Parks was detained in December.
It was all in the same year, 1955. This was Rosa Parks' police report. She, as you can see, was arrested in December, months after Rosa Parks, after Colvin. They started the rumor that she was pregnant, but in reality, she had not been pregnant when she was arrested in the bus. She was pregnant later on and delivered her child on March of 1956, the following year. However, she was unwed and the child is believed to be from a married man, so she was still believed to not be the right face.
As Rosa Parks was a worker, an apparent worker of the NAACP, they decided that she would be the perfect fit for the case. Rosa Parks then soon, what many consider, recreated the whole scene and came up to what it is today. They
It is believed they traveled onto various buses to try and recreate it until a bus driver actually kicked her out. Here, it is believed that there were cameramen, but no footage. We were not able to find any footage. However, we did find one of her getting her fingerprints taken, but that's no actual proof of anything.
Many though still believe that Rosa Parks was still the face of this movement, but in reality it was all Claudette Colvin. She worked to get her representation for this case, but many still do not believe it.
Many museums honor Rosa Parks, and very few have anything related to Colvin. However, maybe as time goes by, her story will come to light.